guys, and welcome to my very first tutorial on electronic music production, namely dubstep. Um, so yeah, let's just hop right into it. It's going to be a really quick tutorial for beginners. There's going to be a link to a pack for all the files that I use in this, so I can really cut through it and just get it done. So alright, so open up FL Studio. I'm using the beta, but you can pretty much use any. And within that package, I include this free drum library here that has all kinds of kick sounds. So we'll start off with making the main beat. So I'm going to go ahead and just go through it like I would normally make it. So I found two kicks. This one, I don't know how well you can hear that. Kind of bassy. It's got more of a bass sound to it. It doesn't really have any kind of other sound. It's just a solid bass. And this one has kind of an actual kick sound to it with more bass. So when I put both of those together, I get a much bassier sound, which in dubstep and electronic music, you want the drums to be very prominent. So just go ahead and create a small little pattern with your kicks, whatever you feel like. This is what I chose because dubstep is supposed to be kind of not so like crazy on the drums, but normal, just kind of like you can like bob your head to it. So this is what I got right here just for the kicks. Oops, my bad. Sorry, I should have disabled that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, all dubstep generally starts at about 140. You can go up to about, I've seen it go up to about 160, but I would definitely say with beginners, stick with 140. It's a great BPM, and to change that, you can just click and drag on this number here in the tempo, and put it up to 140 BPM. It'll start you out at 130 usually when you open up a new project. So yeah. So we have the groundwork for our first beat laid out with the kicks here, and so we want to emphasize that using a clap, and I use a clap and a snare. You can use one or the other, or you can use both. I just like the way this sounded together, so I have my clap here. It's got kind of a snare sound to it, but it's kind of empty sounding. So I got this snare. It's more punchy. It fills in the spots in between there on the waveform. So now I just put it here and here because I think it sounds really nice there. Like I said, go ahead and create a drum beat that you like the most. But here's what it sounds like with just those things on. Okay, so now that we have both our snare and our bass all set up the way that I want it, of course you're probably going to sound differently unless you want to copy me exactly, that's fine too. So then I went through, and all these sounds, I remind you again, are all in this free drum library, and to change any of them, you can just click, you can click through them and figure out which one you like the best. And click and just drag on top, or if you want to add another one, you drag it in between. So that's how you do that. And so now I went through and found a hi-hat sound that I liked, which was hi-hat 14 for my main hi-hat. Nothing crazy, just sound, a little bit of fill there. And what I recommend doing to get a good hi-hat sound is to right click and click on fill for fill each 2 steps, which this is what it'll give you here, and just listen to it, and then just kind of delete some notes, mess around, and then just get one until you see kind of how it works. Get it to where you like it. So I'll go ahead and go back to what I had before, not to get anything messed up here. Okay, so this is what I came out with. Okay, so now I felt that it was still a little bit empty, but you can leave it there. I'll note that you can leave it there. But I went ahead and found one other hi-hat sound that kind of has more of a reverb to it. Well, I guess not a reverb. I don't. It just sounds different. Um, and it fills it in. So I just kind of put it in here, and this is what I got all together, which is my main beat. Okay, so that's the main beat down. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the build, which is just very basic. What you want to do? Oops, that's not in the right place. Is start off slow. So you have 1, 1, and then build up 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, and just fill it in so you kind of get this building. You get that building sound, and that's what's gonna use. That's gonna back up our build for our drop into the wobbles. Okay, so far we have our main beat and our build all done. Yeah, so sorry, my cat's bugging me. Lead. Okay, so I have left links to all of or files to all of the presets for these. This is my lead. I've named it tutorial lead. In my tutorial package, it is in there. You'll find the wobble and the sub. But you will need massive for this tutorial because I don't make wobbles in anything other than massive. I don't think it sounds good in any other program. If you ask me, I love my VST massive. It's just great, and I suggest getting it. So anyway, here's my pattern that I have. I mean, you're feel free to go ahead and do whatever you want, but I felt like with the sliding at the end of the notes coming in for the sound, that this pattern worked really well. So I started off in D, went up to F, E, D, G, F, D. So you kind of see how that works there. And that's just the main pattern that I have, and that's what this sounds like. So yeah, I really like the sound of that. I think it has a cool kind of not grungy sound, but more like an acidic tone to it, I suppose. Would be the proper way to say that. So that's our lead done. So we can go ahead and listen to everything except for these because I haven't gone over these yet. And we'll just go ahead and I'll show you so far. And in the track, this is what everything sounds like that we've gone over so far. Alright, so it's sounding pretty good already. Definitely needs some reinforcement in there, some different sounds and etc., which we will go over right now. I'm going to go over actually how to make the wobble because that's, again, same thing. I included the preset, I believe it's called tutorial wobble or wobs. That's my thing. I don't know why I put a Z on the end of them. Why not? Anyway, yeah, I included this also, this preset in that package, which will be down below. The link will be down below to download it. It's all free. There's no survey, no nothing, I promise, because I hate that shit. But But anyway, yeah, so here's my wobble, and this is what it sounds like. So it just has kind of a regular, I don't know, like a, it's got a really similar sound to the lead, but it has a wobble. So, and I just went ahead and copied the same pattern for the lead for the wobble, just to keep things easy, because again, this is a beginner tutorial. So, okay, that's our wobble down. So far I've pasted each and every one of these clips like so. I started out, I pasted the lead twice, I pasted the main beat 3 times, and then put the build in here, and I chopped it up so that way when I put this last bar for the first lead here, if you paint this out, I just went ahead and shrunk this bar down to 1 and put it there, just to kind of carry in, and also for that high pass that we'll go over after this. And that way the build kind of just went right into it, and then bam, with the wobble there. Okay, so here's what the wobble sounds like. Alright, so we're getting somewhere. Now we got kind of the groundwork for dubstep. So, that's the wobble, the lead. Let's do the sub. Okay, so with the sub, I did end up putting a preset for this in here too, but some people don't like the way this sounds sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't match up properly because it does have an actual tone to it instead of just being solid sub. It's got like a really deep organ sound to it, and some people just don't like that for some reason. And sometimes, like I said, it doesn't fit in. So I'm gonna go ahead real quick and show you how to make a sub that really doesn't make much sound except for bass. So go to channels, add one. 3x OSC stands for 3 times oscillator, so 3 oscillators here. We're going to put each one of the oscillators on sine, so go ahead and click each one of those. And then don't touch any of the knobs or anything, you don't have to. You're going to start out with your little orange thing will be on C5 here, which is your octave. So we're going to go up, and I went up to C7, you can go up to C8 or C9. And right click on C7, so the orange box is over C7, which what that means is it'll take a lot longer throughout the scales to get up into like higher notes. So we have down here just totally just bass is all it is. And I just went ahead and also copied the same thing here. You probably won't hear anything, but I'm going to go ahead and try and play it anyway, just for the sake of playing it. But this is kind of what it sounds like if you can hear anything. Now you can tell that one does not have near as much sound in it. It's just bass. So I mean, you can go ahead and pick whichever one you want, but that's how to do that real quick. So I just went ahead and plastered the sub over each one of these, both here in the lead and then also over the wobble, which will just really influence your lead synths and your wobbles. It'll just make them stand out that much more. Alright, so I believe that's all of our patterns done. So the last couple things we need are these 3 envelopes, well, these 2 envelopes and this sound here. So we'll just go ahead and work with this crash. So I went to, this is actually not in the free drum library. I just went to my drums here that come with FL Studio actually, and I grabbed this crash sound. You want to have one that has a real punch that starts out with, it's kind of loud, but then it trails off, so that way when you reverse it, you drop it in here and you reverse it, it'll trail through your drop. That way you don't have to worry about it falling short or anything like that. So anyway, go ahead and grab a crash from your packs here or whatever, and then just click and drag it and drop it into the playlist, and you'll get a pattern like this, but it'll look like that. And what we're going to do is double click on that, which will come up with your channel settings here. We're going to hit reverse, which will just reverse the entire playlist, and therefore instead of being a splash that fades out, it'll fade into a splash, which is the sound effect that we want to carry us into our wobbles here. That way it's not just empty sound and then boom, wobbles. Like there's something that kind of builds up into it. So hit reverse and that'll do that. And then you can kind of, I've taken here and stretched out the time just a little bit, so that way it works right where I want it. It starts building. You can see on the waveform right here that it starts building up, and then as soon as it hits its highest point, that's when my wobbles come in. So you just want to line it up just like that, and that's it'll sound like this after you got it all done. So yeah, and it has a really nice effect when you have everything going at the same time. It works really, really well. Okay. All right, so now down to the meaty part of dubstep, which is you don't have wobbles that are just the same tempo, it's the same amount of wobbles within the same beat. It changes, it has some pauses, breaks, and other things. So you want to really kind of mix it up, and you end up, this is kind of what I threw together in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to teach you how to make this sound right here, and I'll play it for you. So it's not flawless, but it definitely has some changing up in it, and it makes it sound a little more interesting than just the same pattern with the same amount of wobbles, and just gets terribly repetitive. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and figure out how to change that. So it's actually really easy. We're going to go to our wobble pattern, open up massive, go to our LFO, our fifth LFO here, and I'm going to do a quick explanation to how this works. Ratio here is 1 note, 8 wobbles. So within the 1 bar here, there's 8 wobbles. It wobbles 8 times. And then you can push this number up to 16, so it'll wobble 16 times, and 24 and 32, and it doesn't really matter. It's just that's how you make it faster, or you can actually pull it down and make it slower. So what you want to do is just kind of grab this and screw around for a minute, and then put it back down to 8, which is a good sound to start off with. It's a good bass. Then go to Tools, and FL Studio has this nice little thing here, Last Tweaked, and then you can go to Create Automation Clip. And what that'll do is it'll create a clip that you can automate, which means to basically make a pattern out of this clip here. And you'll start off, and you'll have the line there in the middle like that. It'll be probably more center, probably more like that. And what you want to do is you want to right click and start kind of adding in some, you can delete stuff and add stuff, but you right click to edit any of these points and add points in, and you can click and drag them. And basically the way this works is fairly simple. The higher the points are, the faster it pushes up your LFO, which means the more wobbles you're going to get. The lower they are, the slower your wobbles are going to be. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. You can click these little middle points here and drag them up and down, and that'll change your slope. It'll be like either a gradual incline or a really direct incline that plateaus. And yeah, just kind of go through and create something that sounds interesting or unique, or whatever, however you want, however you decide to do it. But yeah, and that'll add a little more variety to your wobble there. Okay, and the last thing is this Fruity Free filter, which is our high pass. which kind of just also reinforces our drop. Uh, and it makes it sound a little more interesting. It doesn't sound so flat. And what I did for this is a little more, I don't know, I guess it's a little more higher up on the difficulty scale than everything I've done so far, but it's not too terribly hard, so I'll just go ahead and go over it real quick. We're going to go to our lead, which is the pattern that's playing here is our lead, as you can tell there. And click on the massive track that is our lead, and make sure this green bar is highlighted on this one massive track here. We're going to open our mixer. I'm not going to do too much in here because this is like I said, it's more intermediate stuff. But basically you want to move over to insert 5 because for some reason FL puts all of these in your drums. So move over to 5 and you can click on that and make sure this is highlighted. Right click on this, link selected channels to this track. And then you'll see it changes usually to red because that's what massive usually colors itself as. And then it'll say massive on there, so you'll know that that track has been linked there. So then we're going to go over here to where our plugins are, and we're going to come in here and add Fruity Free Filter. And click on that, and when you click on that, you click on that, this will come up like this. And it'll start off, and it'll look kind of like probably like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to push this up to high pass, and we're going to press the frequency down to 10, or as far down as it'll go. Because we don't want the high pass to be on there the entire time. We don't want it to just be the same sound. We want it to merge up to, you know, eventually up to nothingness, which is past 16,000 hertz. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to push this knob up to high pass, and don't mess with anything else. Right click on the frequency, create automation clip, and that'll come up in your thing here. And it'll say Fruity Free Filter massive frequency envelope. And what you want to do is put a point right where the last bit of your lead is, which is this little last note here that I added in, and put it at the end of it, and put it all the way to the top, and then put another point down and push it all the way to the bottom. So you have kind of this look here. It'll look actually more like a step, but push that all the way down to the bottom, then put a note about, I put it right here at the end of this, so you can make it shorter or longer. I just felt like right here with this note here was the best idea. And put it at the bottom, and then just mess around with this until you get a decent sound. And what it's going to do is as the lead plays and it hits this part of the envelope and it goes up, a high pass, it's kind of changes the pitch. I don't really know how to explain a high pass for certain, but it makes it higher pitched and fades it out over time. And I'll just go ahead and play it for you so you can kind of hear it, what it does. So it kind of like, I guess the sound really thins out and it has a really cool effect to it. And I think it makes the drop just that much better. Alright guys, well then if you followed this tutorial to a T, you should have this track now. Alright, well that sounded pretty cool. So that's just an intro and like a very beginning part of the wobble. You could go ahead and take that and make it into an entire song. I would look up some structures first because you kind of have like a beat down area. You want to make sure that it sounds a little more complex than that, but so far, I mean, I think that's a pretty good start. If you guys want me to do any more tutorials, this is just a test to see if anybody actually really wants to watch it or not. But if you want me to do any more tutorials, just go ahead and inbox me or comment on this. I'll see what I can make and shoot it towards you guys. If you want a link to any of my actual dubstep stuff, like the sample that's played there in the beginning of the intro, and most likely at the end here as I close up, or any other songs, yeah, then just go ahead and do the same thing, comment or inbox me and ask me about it, and I will for sure send you guys links. So thanks, like this, comment, subscribe.
Your interference has ended.
Have a good day.